Hey Insider family, it's your girl Abigail here again for another special guest live session for a testimonial interview. So I'm the community leader here at Success Insider, and we do have a special guest who's going to share with us her ups and her downs and her highs and her lows and her journey before joining LMA, Life Mastery Achievers, our flagship course LMA, and during and after journey as well. So without further ado, special guest, please introduce your name, where you're currently based, and what you currently do for a living as well.
Well, thank you for that lovely introduction, Abigail. My name is Molly. My name is Molly Hervey, and I am living in Orange County, California. So that's where I'm at.
Okay, and just before joining LMA, can you share with our guests what was your biggest problem that you faced before enrolling?
Mm-hmm. Well, before I came across LMA, I was in search of my life purpose, which is that big question that so many of us have. And I ended up looking for purpose and looking in various modalities, books, audiobooks, podcasts, all these different sources of information. And I ended up finding LMA. But prior to deciding that I needed to find my life purpose, I actually was going through a lot in life that led me to that point. So I've been on a health journey of sorts for about 17 years, and it has to do with chronic pain. And in addition to having this chronic pain, specifically migraine and dizziness, where I feel like I'm just on a boat all day long, and sometimes I'll get the vertigo spinning. That was also accompanied by a lifetime of anxiety. So some doctors that I had been to would say that anxiety is the cause of the migraine. But as I've learned through my travels through different ways of healing myself, I've realized that anxiety is a part of it, but it's not the cause. So having discovered LMA, it's really opened me up to how I've got to where I am. And what attracted me to LMA was the fact that Tim teaches about limiting beliefs. That's one thing I hadn't done yet. And it really helped me to realize, okay, this is something I need to do. So that's where I came from.
Thank you so much for sharing that with us, Molly. And I just want to know, how was the problem impacting you in your daily life? How was it making you feel in your daily, day-to-day life?
Well, each day when I wake up, I don't feel that excited feeling to start the day. I've always done work that I'm good at, that people have told me, oh, you have a talent. So I figure, well, if I'm good at it, I might as well do it and make some money at it. So I would say daily, I would not feel that sense of serving a purpose to help people. And the work that I do indirectly help people, but I would like to more directly offer the gifts that I have to help people who need help. So yeah, I'd say daily anxiety, daily bouts of sadness, and a lot of unknowns. Just I did not have direction. I had a few ideas of where I wanted to take my life, but I wasn't taking action on it. And I've been in the work that I do for decades. I had been experiencing anxiety for 40 years. So it was time for a change, and LMA came to me at the right time, and I knew I had to go forward with it.
Fantastic. Thank you again so much for sharing and being so vulnerable and open with us as well. And I just want to know, was there anything that kind of prevented you from joining LMA? Were there any hesitations or concerns before you enrolled? And if there were, how did you overcome these fears and just take the chance and enroll on LMA?
Well, there were two reservations I had. The first one was cost. I had never spent any amount of money more than buying a book for myself or going to a counselor, because I had been divorced in my past and gone through some things. So seeing the number, I was like a little hesitant, but then I remembered I had that exact amount in my savings at that time.
Wow.
So I'm like, well, it's meant to be. And then the other reservation I had, in general, in the past, I'm not a very trusting person. And that's because of experiences that I've had. So what, seeing the YouTube video, like, oh, am I really going to pay this much money to someone I've never heard of before? Because I had never even heard of Tim Hahn before this. But the words he used and the way he communicated, my degree is in communication, so I feel like I have a good grasp on when people are being authentic, yeah, and when I'm being sold to. And I could tell that he was sharing stories and tools that really made sense to me, and it really resonated with me. So because he had a story that was similar to mine with anxiety, and then I see him, leading this program, I knew that he was a living example, yeah, of living proof of what his program can do for people. Mm-hmm. So that gained my trust by really identifying with him and him identifying with me. He knew his audience.
Perfect. Thank you again. And I just wondered if there was anything that surprised you on the course. Like, what was your happiest moment? Did you have any aha moments that just gave you breakthroughs in your life?
Well, I've had many breakthroughs with LMA, so I'll have to choose one or two. The biggest surprise to me with LMA is that the theme behind everything is love. And it's about loving ourselves, and then in turn, loving others once we work on ourselves. So that was a pleasant surprise. I figured I'd be going into maybe some past experiences with limiting beliefs, but to know that this community has been put together to build a tribe of sorts of change makers in the world. It's not something I expected, but it's something I was looking for. I have never experienced a group like this that is so supportive, so growth-minded, and just incredible to be around. The energy of the collective is just magical. So I am very grateful for discovering the community.
And what would you say is your biggest takeaway or your biggest benefit from the LMA course? You say you've had many breakthroughs and you don't know which one to choose. If you had to choose one, what's the most beneficial moment you've experienced upon the LMA course?
Well, I'd have to say identifying my earliest trauma, which led me to changing limiting beliefs around that. And there's a lot of offshoots from that, but by identifying my core limiting belief of being not good enough, I have been able to replace those thoughts and behavior patterns with more positive ones that lead me to behaving in a way that brings change to myself and how I think and how I act. So the breakthrough from that, just as a summary of what that was, I didn't feel like I had a voice. And what's interesting is that in prior work that I did to LMA, I discovered with meditation and working with chakras that I needed to clear my throat chakra. I have not had a voice, and I deserve to speak my voice. So I've had multiple subsequent traumas related to that original, but they were just appeared in different forms. So if we don't work through something, it keeps showing up in our lives. So 2 examples, sorry, I'm kind of going on lots of tangents, but so not having a voice, there was an occasion when I was told that I wasn't allowed to speak, basically, and I needed to stop. And I was crying at the time, and I was told, go look at your face. It was very traumatic for me at the time. I was about 5 years old. And then another time I was speaking, it was probably my first time speaking in front of a group in 5th grade. And the way my body reacts when it's nervous in front of an audience is I get flushed red. I get kind of a rash. And a child in the class pointed to me and out loud said, "What's wrong with her?" So that was another example of, oh, when I speak, bad things happen.
Yeah.
So LMA, with the challenges that we're given, we have to speak daily and in front of an audience that we don't know. So doing the Facebook Lives, I was extremely nervous about them. But now that I've been doing LMA for 2 seasons, and I've seen the profound growth that comes from doing them, I look forward to them. If I don't do one, something feels off. So now I've gone from, being the shy one of not participating in group conversation or not offering my point of view. Now I know I have a lot to say and I'm worthy of saying it. So that's what the biggest breakthrough is, that I have gained confidence. I would say that.
It's really brilliant. A really great share. It really got me a bit emotional, actually. It's just really nice to hear that breakthrough and that journey that you've gone on from not thinking you're worthy enough to speak up to feeling empty if you don't. It's really great. Thank you so much for sharing. So I guess my last question for you, Molly, really is, what advice would you give to someone who is currently on the fence about joining LMA and taking and starting their own journey? What would you say to them?
Well, I imagine they might have the same doubts that I did when I was considering it. And I think the biggest piece of advice I would say is to listen to your gut. If you find yourself watching a YouTube ad all the way through, that probably means it has something to offer you. And if there's anything I've learned in my journey of health, which has improved greatly in various ways, one thing I've learned is to listen to my body. And my body is telling me a message. And when I heard Tim's video, I knew, I had no doubt after I realized, okay, my body's telling me to do this. So the only problem I had at that point was, how fast can I pay for this? And how soon can I start?